Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Cariloop. I'm Jaren Langridge, and I believe this is like our third conversation that we've had with you now. We want to thank you for tuning in and either watching us live if you're joining us now. Everybody start hopping on, send us some comments, or if you watch us later, send us some comments. If you have questions, we'll be happy to get back with our conversation with Dr. Rappa and answer those questions. So I just want to remind you, that Cariloop is here. We provide tools and services to help families plan and manage the care of older loved ones. But today I'm really excited about my friend Dr. Peter Rappa, who's here to have a conversation with us today. Dr. Rappa now we just call you a rehab doctor.
Correct.
I think that's the easiest way.
Rappa from rehab.
There you go. So we remember that. And he's also an author. Now, how many out there know about doctors that actually write, and actually write well, not in the scribbly handwriting that they teach you in medical school?
I didn't pay her to say
So,
that.
but he's the author of Healing Heart to Soul, and he's just written the latest novel. And you call it what kind of fiction or
edutainment.
Edutainment. Call a novel Hero in Time. But really today, our conversation that we're going to have is going to kind of center around his book, Healing Heart to Soul. I'll be honest, I haven't gotten the Hero in Time, so that's on my next reading list.
Should be available this week.
Okay.
Coming up
so
this week.
Instead of Oprah's book club, we'll have Cariloop's book club, so then we'll add that to our list to read. But in his book, in your book, Healing Heart to Soul, at the back, you have listed what is called the 7 actions of healing, but you put it in there from a lecture that you did.
Correct. I'm going to...
Oh, yes, I forgot. I have the book.
Myself.
There we go. Here it is. I forgot.
Right.
And I'm glad you did, because if we have anybody watching or someone later, we're going to give away this, and you will sign it, right? Today, it's not been signed, so I will actually have it signed. We'll get it signed for the person. We'll just put in a kind of a generic, thank you for watching, our conversations with Cariloop, and we will give thank you. I had it on my lap, and I almost forgot to remind everybody about that. But but let's just have this conversation, about these. When I read the book, and I read it a while back and went back to read the 7 healing actions again, actions of healing. I was struck again by just some of the things that they talked about, and as a clinician myself, I think you and I have had many conversations, about actions and being a rehab doctor. So let's think about this. If someone is caring for a loved one, or they actually have an illness, maybe there's some actions that we can talk about tonight, as far as things that people could look at. Now, I know you want to not be considered the guru, so,
right.
Why is that,
So, interestingly, I have a affinity for archetypes, is what it's called, which is patterns of behavior. And I found myself to fit the category of seeker of truth, seeker of wisdom, perhaps, and then speaker of, hopefully, truth and wisdom. So I'm still on the search. I'm still trying to understand things, make sense of it all, and then put this into a paradigm that works for me in my life, and then share it with patients and families and loved ones to help them in their life.
Which is a lot of why we kind of created these conversations with Cariloop. Yeah. Because, again, we all care for people. We all have to deal with health care. We all have to live in this world. Right. And it's kind of confusing and it's challenging. So
the challenges just come one at a time.
Right.
And caring for a loved one is a huge challenge, very problematic, and can be tricky in the details within the healthcare system. Yeah.
So the first action of your 7 actions of healing that really touched me, and I think as a rehab doctor, as a clinician, I find it interesting that you have to take action.
Right. Very good. So, in the book, the what we're talking about today is the last chapter, if you will, the last back section. So, for the readers, you just want to get the book and go right to the back and get meat and potatoes, and then can kind of come through and read the stories. But action. We're physical. We're a spirit embodied in a physicality, and so movement is so key, right? So that's why I say take action. really people come to the doctor, they want medication, and in my case, usually some type of therapy. So this was an easy lead-in to a real empowerment that I wanted to happen as somebody went through a rehabilitative process with me. So for me, action can be something as simple as taking physical therapy, stretching and moving. We find heart rate up is very, very powerful, right? Endorphin release from that's better than morphine.
Well, and we're learning too, it helps your brain, right?
Helps your brain. Serotonergic flow from that, dopamine, all the good, the welfare hormones.
Right.
So getting heart rate up and getting a little bit of a sweat is key, and if you can do that in the middle, so I would recommend caregivers, start your day with that. If possible, get morning exercise in. It sets the tone for the rest of the day, and you'll already be at a lower stress point.
Because you already recommend that for your patients, right? Or someone with an illness.
Right. And again, the caregiver side of that is going to be very, very challenging, right? Emotionally stressful.
Yeah.
Right? Hit you where it hurts, right in the heart.
Well, and do you find that we have a tendency to, when we're overwhelmed, to not want to take action?
Right. It's easy to put your workout schedule behind because you've got something more pressing. But you know what they say when you fly, right? And the oxygen drops. Put it on yourself first.
That's a good point.
And then take care of whoever's around you.
That's a good
point.
And
so you need a breath of fresh air for yourself.
Right.
And then you could get to the other aspects of your life.
So really, there is no excuse to take action and to get moving.
We try to mitigate the excuses and move into the right place there. Yeah.
All right. So, of course, again, like you said, we don't want to necessarily give everything away. You want to go and get the book because there's some great stories, anecdotal stories too of patients, possibly the names have been changed to protect the innocent. But I think it reminds people, of things that they need to do. But one of your actions from your 7 actions of healing that I think touched me the most was choose from the heart.
Right. So the heart is just our focal center, right? There's a passion piece of your heart. So choosing from your heart is choosing the things that you love. So love what you're doing and do what you're loving places you, again, in a good place to succeed. And then I find forgiveness is huge, right? We beat ourselves up more often than anything else. So forgiving yourself and keeping yourself in the group of people that you love is very important that way. And then, relationships. Relationships are really tough. Me by myself is hard. Me with anybody else, even harder.
Right. Yeah, what is that? If it's you and me, it's personality. If it's you and everybody else, then you might need to look at yourself.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
Right. So part of the book that I would recommend getting to is looking into your relationships and making them right where they're wrong. This comes into play. Dr. Kubler-Ross, the hospice movement, spoke a lot about that, and I find that very powerful. So even somebody coming into the rehab hospital, I encourage them to say, okay, what's not working in your life? And then how do we fix that? And the we is you, right? How do you fix that? We'll provide a lot of structure, and Cariloop will give them some ideas and strategies, right? But in the end, you've got to pick up the phone, you've got to go pay the visit, you've got to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right? All of that's huge. That heart center is about forgiveness and love.
So I kind of want to delve into just a little bit more of the heart, especially for a caregiver. It's a challenge, about being a caregiver, and especially adult children. They've become, and there's a lot, as you say, with families, there's a lot of history, baggage, for the child that's the caregiver and the loved one that needs to move and things like that. What insight do you see from your background? Because I know you've seen a lot of family dynamics.
Yeah.
What would be a good, just tidbit for themselves too? Is also.
Well, I think a more elevated perspective is needed here, right? Because let's look through our dynamic eye, the third eye, if you will, and let's flip it around. So I have opportunity to love the person who I'm caring for, yet they've given me opportunity to be loving by being a provider for them. So it's that give and take relationship, right? The yin and the yang of that. And when you step back, you see that. Right, you can see
moving yourself out of self, right?
Right.
And I think we have a hard time with it sometimes.
It's hard to do when you're enmeshed in. I've got to get medications. I've got to get the schedule done. I've got to get resources in place. You're struggling against kind of a bureaucratic process, and you forget to say, right? This is the action of love. This is love in action by coordinating, orchestrating, and caring, and changing the pillows, and changing the laundry,
Right.
and doing everything that comes with that.
And it's okay to ask for help too. And I think a lot of times do we feel like because we can't forgive ourselves, we feel like we have to do it all instead of asking for help. Do you see that happening a lot?
And that contributes to the burnout and the stress.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the service that you guys provide is instrumental. You have professionals who can help direct people.
Right.
And it cuts through the emotional burden
Right.
of finding out, oh my God, is this person good? Is this right? Am I doing the right thing?
True.
Am I
Yeah.
doing the right thing?
Right, and
now you can have some
then they don't
reinforcement
feel guilty and maybe that I've chosen the wrong thing
Right.
or I've had the wrong direction.
And half of these have no right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's based on your personal,
Right.
code of honor, your
Yeah.
desires and wishes, and right, you just choose from the heart. This is the battle. The head thinks something.
Right. We want to be intellectual about all of this, right?
But in the end, a heartfelt choice goes a long way.
That's a good point. Well, I kind of want to jump. One of my favorite is the last one. So it's live in power, live in now.
Right. I think getting energy back into present time is a needed skill that we all have to do. Our mind is the problem half the time.
Right.
We worry about fear of the future, and we live in the pain of the past.
Right.
And you forget to be here now. And I need best effort from people when they're in the rehab hospital.
Right.
I need their best effort, right? Which means
That's true.
Get right here,
Pay
right
attention,
here, right now.
focus.
Right. And so living in that present moment goes a long way. Yeah, we got to plan for the future, a future which never comes the way you planned for anyway, right?
Right. We can have a plan, but we know the plan is not going to work.
It's got to be flexible, right?
Yes.
Because it's a dynamic thing coming at us
Right.
here, right? So I would tell caregivers and patients both same thing, right? You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Right.
So best effort now, be here in the moment, and be fully present. Give the loved one your full attention, right? Because how many times does me, the doctor, come in and say, oh, hi, Jaron, how you doing today? I'm reading your chart. So you're talking at me? I'm not even listening. I'm looking at the numbers and the vitals, right?
Yeah.
So be fully present, be engaged.
That's a good point.
Right? Eye contact, touching, therapeutic touch, right there, goes a long way.
And it's okay for people to ask their doctor to look at them too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Help them be in the now, because sometimes
Yeah.
we as clinicians get busy.
Yeah, the patients are the biggest educators, right? Because they teach you what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah,
right?
so listen. So I was going to just check if we have any questions. Now's the time, to ask us questions or send us, good thinking, good vibes, today, because I think we've had a lot of meat, in just touching on some of these actions that we need to take.
Healing Heart to Soul is a meat and potatoes book.
Right,
right?
it is.
And so that's why I say get to the back.
There you
can
go.
Read
Start
the
at the back and then go to the front.
Through the stories.
Right.
The stories make sense after you've read the back of the book.
Right. So are you going to do a second edition?
Working on it. So A Hero in Time is just being released, and I have a third and even a fourth project planned. It's just I move at rock speed. I'm not very full-time practice.
But I think this is a great conversation that we need to keep having. So would you come back and join us another time? And maybe we can talk a little bit more, maybe about A Hero in Time and what drove you to write that.
Sure.
But as we close now, because again, we want to be cognizant of our people watching. Please go share this conversation. If you found any piece of this conversation important that it touched your heart, or it might be beneficial for someone else, please go share that. Dr. Rappa will be sharing it. If you're interested in finding more about his books, you can contact us at Cariloop.com or Dr. Peter Rappa.
It's PeterRappa.com.
PeterRappa.com. So I always do the doctor in front, but PeterRappa.com, and you can find out about how to get his books, or if you're interested and you can't figure it out, you can always contact us. So again, Cariloop's here to help families, kind of help make some of these choices, help them, guide them through some of these challenges, to work with great physicians like Dr. Rappa, who really, we have the best interest of our clients and those that we help in mind. So, Dr. Rappa, thank you so much for coming by to have this conversation, and we look forward to our next one again.
My pleasure. Appreciate it.